Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Hello, welcome to On the Corner of Main Street. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Gary. How is everybody doing?
Hello, everybody.
Doing very well. Sorry,
welcome back.
Sorry I missed last week.
Welcome back from your vacation.
Thank you. The reception I've heard since I've been gone has been overwhelming about the announcement of the sand dollar.
Yeah, it is. It is exciting, and everybody, it's something we need. It's something we need. And I think people want to. I think one of the things that I hear a lot about Fremont Street Experience area, and it needs more nightlife. It needs more options, and I think we're contributing to that. And then our next announcement will be something else in that space. So I think it's a lot of excitement about the announcement, and they're great partners. They know everyone in the industry, and I'm excited to have them on board.
Yeah, it's very exciting news.
I'm so excied. I can't wait.
You're gonna listen to the music, hang
out. Listen to the music, hang out.
It's good. Now I can keep you on property longer.
It's true. I'll never leave. I need a room.
yeah, exactly. But talking about exciting, we have an amazing guest today. I think we've had some people on the podcast over the however many episodes we've done now, where it's like it's validation that what we're doing is great, and it's cool, and it's helping to give people insight into what happens here. And today we have the mayor joining us.
Yeah, this is a big get.
It's huge.
Yeah, she's obviously we've had Oscar on multiple times, but he's not the mayor. She's the mayor.
Right.
And it's pretty cool to hear how much she knows about, how involved she is in everything.
When did you first meet Miss Goodman?
That's a good question, Gary. I don't know exactly. I mean, it must have been probably prior to her becoming the mayor through Oscar, but I didn't know them as well, obviously, until I got to know Oscar and when we did Oscar Steakhouse. But I don't remember exactly when I met her, but obviously I've grown to become very fond of her and know her very well. And she's always asks about my children, about our family, she's just very, very passionate about what she does in the community in Las Vegas. And
well, let's get into the interview. Today we are joined by the fabulous mayor of Las Vegas, Mayor Carolyn Goodman. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Well, I love this. What a great opportunity to be here in this beautiful facility that I've seen over the years now that it's 50.
Yes, you have, and we're here in Oscar's, our steakhouse, recording this episode. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. As I was telling you before we started, this is something we do for a little bit of fun. Gives us a chance to interact with our customers, our guests, and to just tell people what's happening in Las Vegas on a weekly basis and talk about all the great things happening, specifically downtown, but we talk about everything.
I like that.
From all over the city. So thank you for taking the time. I know you have a lot more important things to be doing.
Nothing more important than this, because I know your listeners will be thrilled to hear all the wonderful questions you're going to ask me, and hopefully we'll entertain them a little bit.
Well, we do have quite a few questions, but first we'd love to know what it's like to be married to Oscar Goodman.
Gosh, I thought you were going to ask about the city first. What is it like to be married to Oscar
And he's
Goodman?
sitting back there, so you have to be careful. He can't hear us.
All the more reason to really poke fun at him. Oh, my God, it has been a ride. My parents said, don't marry the man, and here we are. 59 years later, they stole a whole year. We should have been married 60 years this past June. And it's been just a wonderful ride.
He often tells the story of how the two of you came to Las Vegas. He always tells that story.
Well, his nose is growing because he always fabricates, so I don't want to hear what he said, please.
Well, no, that's not what I was going to ask you. What it was like. Do you remember coming here? Was it in the 60s?
I'm not that old.
Well, but I mean, like,
and
what
no
was
Alzheimer, thank God, so far.
Well, good.
But if I absolutely remember. And
he says you were a card counter.
I was pretty good as a child. It was my sister and myself and my parents. They both loved cards, but they would always play games that hopefully improved our brain cells, and one of them was called concentration. I'm sure Oscar mentioned it, where you turn all the cards, the 52 cards, face down, and spread them in different directions, and then you have a partner or an opponent, and you pick up 2 cards. And what you try to do is, and then if in fact they don't match, you put them face down, and then the other person does the same. And the winner is the one who has the most pairs at the end. And I got pretty darn good, and being a younger sister, I was very competitive. So my sister was the one that she beat me once, and then I just practiced and practiced. And so I learned to be able to remember cards. And so we came out here.
Where was that? Back home? Where was that?
No, the gambling, though, when we came to Las Vegas in '64, it was at the Hacienda or some other hotel where we'd go for dinner on occasion. And they were all single decks in those days. And the dealer did not wash the cards every single time.
Yeah, there was an automatic shufflers.
Yeah, so I just had a good time and could pretty much know what was underneath and what I was doing. So we did well and made enough that usually it paid for dinner. But anyway, so that's it. Anybody with children, concentration's a great game.
Is the game. Okay.
And did you always want to become mayor of Las Vegas?
Never. I didn't even know at that time.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from New York City, the heart of Manhattan, actually.
But you met Oscar in Philadelphia?
Met Oscar when we were in college.
Ah, okay. That we haven't heard.
And
what college? What was that like?
Well, my roommate had met Oscar somewhere and said, "Boy, have I found a nice Jewish boy for you." And my roommate throughout college had been an African-American girl. And so my charge was to find her a suitable date, and she was always looking for a nice Jewish boy for me. And she came back and she said, "I just met this great guy. You are going to be just snowed under." And so, the first time, absolutely not. Neither he nor I had any interest in the other. But then as time went on, very quickly, he hit me right between the eyes. And I thought, well, this, like everything else, this will go away, this will tire. But it didn't. And so here we are all these years later.
Okay, so go on. So you didn't want to be the mayor, but you were here in Las Vegas.
Oh, as being the mayor? No. I had been the head of student government of my college when I was in my senior year. And I enjoyed that because there were things in those days on my campus you couldn't drive, and so there were things that the student body wanted to accomplish, and I loved having that concept, that project, things that were pulling people together. And so when we came out here, absolutely not. We had the $87 between us, and I had been working while Oscar was in law school, supporting us. Not with a lot of money. I think my salary take-home was $80 a week or some huge amount. We lived in an apartment in a very seedy area off of campus at Penn. And when we came out here, I thought I was going to have some time off while Oscar earned. And the reality was, as we came over a railroad pass, looking at this godforsaken desert, that there was nothing but a couple of buildings in the far distant few where we could see. And he said, "You really need a job." So I went to work in advertising, marketing, and publicity at the Riviera Hotel, which has since been imploded. And thereafter, with family and everything happening, no, there was never a thought in my mind. I was not at all one. I was very much into more the social services, not the political, and never was fond of politicians because they always seemed to have a different agenda. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until Oscar was termed out that the children had come to me, by then grown, and said, "Mom, Dad has done so much to revitalize the seedy downtown area with all the boarded up buildings and the crime, prostitution, drugs. And there's 17 people that have signed up to be mayor. You have to run." I said, "No." Why would anybody be crazy enough to do?
You had started a school in Las Vegas and you had finished that.
Yes.
And then you were That's how that afforded you the time to ultimately run?
Yes, and it was, well, yes, it was 26 years of building a school.
Which is pretty cool, because I saw you the other night at Kenny Epstein's birthday, and it's nice to see how you remember all of your prior students, and you've seen them grow up and become business people in the city. And
that's what's beautiful, that they've come back here to lend their expertise in whatever they've done. I saw Peggy Thalgott with her daughter Jamie, who I think's gone into medicine.
Yeah.
Or dentistry, but I think medicine. And
they were
so
all
these are
graduates
students
of the Meadows.
Yes.
At your school.
Yes.
And the Meadows was the first nonprofit college prep school here in Nevada?
Yes. And at the time we came here, and I'd gotten involved with the counselors in most of the public schools, and they didn't know anything of colleges east of the Mississippi. It was an eye-opener to me. And so, but that whole 26-year period of mine, when in 2010, I thought, time to move it on. You always need to have, a sequential pathway for people to take over something good and continue it, train people and move on. And so I was moving on, and then Oscar, who'd been trying to get another, at least a year or two towards another term, couldn't get it on. The legislature wouldn't budge on it.
Right.
And so already 17 people had signed up to become mayor, and a very cross-section of people. And my children had said to me, Mom, you've just got to run. And I thought, oh no, this doesn't sound like something. And Oscar had loved it. I mean, if ever there was a fit after his law practice of a good, great job that was full of change and ingenuity and innovation, it was everything. It was perfect for him. And they should have kept him as mayor forever, in my opinion.
I do want to hear about this mayor as you roll into the mayor, but I do want to ask you a quick question before that. Oscar always talks about you mentioned his profession as a lawyer before. Were his clients as nice to you and everybody as he says? Because everybody has this perception of his clients perhaps not being the nicest people.
No. I mean, they were as nice to our 4 little children and caring and well-mannered. I hear more filth out of more people's mouths today. I never heard a swear word or cuss word or filth out of any of his clients.
Okay.
They were so deferential and always just genuinely, if he was out of town, which he tended to be every single week on a case traveling around the country, and I had these 4 little people that I was trying to keep occupied, fed, clothed, clean, and in some schooling. They were always calling up, can I get you anything? Do you need anything? Very, very kind people. And so whatever they did in their private lives or beyond my life,
you didn't know
it was
about.
all rumor. It was interesting, I'll tell you, but no.
Okay. So obviously you won the election pretty handily. You were very popular in your first term.
Well, I think the first term I was elected, I was coming in on a pretty strong recommendation because here was Oscar. Not only was he so smart, brilliant, and fun, he was doing great things and had a great vision for what he wanted to make sure happened.
Did you share his vision for downtown Las Vegas, that it could become a great city the way it's ultimately coming now? But I mean, in 2002, when he sort of started out on that campaign, nobody thought he could do it.
Certainly being one of his top cheerleaders, for sure. But I never looked at it from anything it was on the final filing week. It closed on a Friday, and Tuesday I was not going to run. And by Wednesday, Oscar had said, if you're going to do this, and I would like you to do it as well as the children, you have to do it tomorrow because nobody reads the paper on Thursday, surely not on Friday. So Wednesday's the day. So finally I said, okay. So we went down, but I really had no idea of any of this that was going to come.
Right.
And so we ended up, there was a runoff because with 17 opponents, that's an awful lot. You have to get 50 plus 1, 50% plus 1 to take it. And at that time, out of the 17 and myself 18, we ended up 2 of us, Christian Kiliani and myself. And then from that, I did very well.
I do remember that. Now you're coming into your
Third
you're in
and
your third
last. I'm in it. Yeah,
you're in your
my
third and last, but they extended it 1 year for you.
Yes, and therefore, God love him. Oscar and I are so compatible, but we're, we just like anybody else. We have our moments of, I wouldn't say anger, but whatever, sulking, whatever you want to call it. And I'll tell you, we're competitive though. And so,
you got the extra year on him.
Oh, yeah. When I got that, I thought, wow, you only got 12. I got 13. Go, girl.
You go, girl.
Yeah. And when I announce it, I usually tell that little story when I'm speaking to groups, small or large. And the women just go ballistic when I say, I got the 13.
I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between City of Las Vegas and the Strip. Could you explain that for people that don't know the difference? It's very quick.
Well, it is. This is the city is an incorporation, and it's 135 square miles. It is in the larger county, Clark County. And there are other municipalities within Clark County, Boulder City, Mesquite, North Las Vegas, Henderson, all incorporated, and Laughlin. And so really for what we do in Las Vegas as a city, there is a mayor and 6 council persons. In each council person's area, there are approximately 100,000 people. Now that we're waiting for the census to come back, we're probably pretty close, around 700,000. And when you add in the other municipalities, we are certainly more than the unincorporated Clark County. But they're just government bodies. All of the southern Nevada area, everybody knows it as Las Vegas. And so when people in Henderson said, I voted for you every time, Mayor. Baloney, they voted for me every time. You have to live in the city.
Right. I've been there when people from Henderson have come over and said they voted for you.
I know, and it's wonderful, and I do feel.
But the Strip is not part of.
No,
you
it's
don't
part
govern
of the greater unincorporated Clark
Right.
County. Initially, it was before the city didn't want to spend the money on the sewer going south, and so at that point there was a separation. And no, the Strip definitely is an independent area, but we are known, people have never heard in France or in Italy or anywhere,
Right.
Clark County.
Yes,
They may
doesn't
not
have
even
the
have
same
heard it.
pizzazz as Las Vegas.
Well, everybody knows Las Vegas.
Right,
Everybody knows Las Vegas. So when people say they're living in Henderson, when they are abroad or in other parts of the country, they would say, I live in Las Vegas.
Over the last 3 terms, what do you think you've done so much, but what do you think is probably your proudest accomplishment that you've accomplished over that time span?
I don't think of things that way. I really do. I mean, that's the way I was raised, and that's the way I live. It's, get up in the morning and look in the mirror at yourself and say, are you okay with your own skin that you're in? And so it's the accomplishment of everybody. This whole country has been going through a lot of change, a lot of political unrest, so much. And I think that we here in Las Vegas, and when I speak of Las Vegas, I mean the entire southern Nevada area, is we have weathered it all in every area. And in the city in particular, because there are only 7 of us running government, we're a piece of action. We are as greased as you can possibly know. I hear it all the time from developers and investors from around the country, around the world. I have never worked with a group getting things done so quickly, so well, as the City of Las Vegas government. And to me, that we have our faith leaders so involved in everything. We have our law enforcement involved. We have people of differing populations, different races, nationalities, religions, and every single one of them knows how significant it is that they are out there working to make this a big family. And I'm terribly proud of that more than anything. And we respond, and it's not somebody else's fault. Don't say that in my ears. It's not somebody else's fault. What can you do to make it better? So it is that, and that to me is this feeling of this is our community, and each one of us belongs to us. So if anything, it's permeating that out in the world.
It must give you great pride to see whether it's 800 residential apartments to the west, whether it's Circa being built here to the east, whether it's the Arts District booming. I mean, you have so much happening in this sort of small radius of downtown that really was started with Oscar, but has been continued by you. And I don't think anybody believes all of this would have happened but for your guys' drive and dedication to the city.
Well, Oscar had the vision. He saw it. But Circa, of course, I mean, this is my 10th year.
Right.
And so when you go back to traveling with Oscar and going to visit, I can't even remember, the Rouse Company to teach him, and I was there, of course, listening, is how do you become a world-class city? And you need land, and you need these different elements. You need culture, and you need good quality medicine and research and all these elements.
And a sports team.
But that was way further down. And when you get your hands in the dirt and really do something every day, you know, the first and only thing is safety. Nothing passes safety. So if you are, and as long as our people understand that, as long as you are committed to being a safe place, you will have people live there, you will have people promoting, you'll have people investing, and you will have a stability. Then comes good health, because you're not going to live in a rat-infested, dirty place that's unhealthy, which is how the city of Las Vegas and the county of Clark and the entire downtown, the Strip, came to be, because it's healthy. If we weren't, we wouldn't be booming like we were in 2019. And then you get the vision of someone like Oscar, who wanted to create a bigger research and medicine and arts and culture, and of course, as a real kicker, getting Major League Sports. And so one of his first things was the commissioner of the National Hockey League, who thought he was insane, and then, of course, the NBA and all these sports. And we knew, and we could see, and just watching that and how it's changed. And it takes a while, but I think as we have Circa, I mean, look at that. There is Derek and Greg Stevens, who owned the Stars, or the minor league baseball before they got started. The 51s. And then he had the courage during COVID, in an entire shutdown, to come out of the ground and build that building, which is revitalized, along with the quality of leadership in our other downtown hotels and businesses, to keep moving our community forward. A lot of other people packed up their dollars and left. But Derek and Greg said, nope, we like this, we're coming. And of course, you got the city, the county, and the LVCVA, the Convention and Visitors Authority, pouring in $90 million into the canopy of the Fremont Street. And then you have someone like Tony Hsieh, who came in and put an investment into developing small business down Fremont East. And it's just, there's so much to talk about. We could be here for a month.
What was your relationship with Tony Hsieh like?
Of course, I read his Delivering Happiness. When I first met him, I had gone out, and it had something to do with the school. I had gone out to his facility out in Henderson. He was leasing from the Greenspuns out there in there. And I remember I was so amazed about all the accoutrements and amenities that he had out there to keep his staff happy, which meant free food, free babysitting, hammocks to lie down on. I mean, things that were so... I couldn't believe it. And whoops. And he really just was a soft, gentle individual that I thought, when I first met him, I thought, wow, who is he? What is this? And of course, read the books, the two books. And then as he was going to come down, of course, did a little more. But I found him over the years until, sadly, he passed away, very much like Peter Pan, with his little wand out there with, somebody with fairy dust that's dropping all this be happy stuff everywhere. He was not a bricks and mortar man. He did not. You don't see any buildings he built. He did bring in the cargo containers to make our container park, but you would see him a lot alone, and then you'd see him with just crowds of people that were part of Zappos, and an ethereal soul who really, I think he was most comfortable alone, but also needing the masses around him. I saw him as a very private person, and yet a very kind person. But unfortunately, because at a very young age, having earned such great wealth, I found an awful lot of people just major suck up for the dollars, which it's very hard for someone who comes into it, lives a life and has earned the dollars. He got it so early, right out of college, that he had no time for that real adjustment. And I think he was a unique individual, and had a beautiful way of trying to bring happiness to everybody.
You did mention safety as well, that it's so important here. How did the events on October 1 change your role?
Wow.
Or affect your role?
Well, one of the things was when Oscar was elected mayor, one of the first things he was asked to do was to join with other members of the community and go back to Emmitsburg, Maryland for federal emergency management training. He had said to me it changed his life. It changed how he looked at his role. And so, of course, finally I did go, and it was the most incredible experience. The training was for an emergency. And what we were training for was for a terrorist attack. And 90 people from southern Nevada went together with our fire chief,
Was the sheriff there?
Not this sheriff, but the predecessor. Okay. Yes, several from law enforcement of the different communities, hospital people, schooling people, everybody. I mean, it was and everybody was assigned a role based on his or her position and what was expected of them. Obviously, public information piece of it. So after the training, my role was that I was the voice of Las Vegas. That while there were other officials, there's one voice, and it's the mayor, whoever that is. And so at 10:20 on October 1st, I get a phone call from the head of public relations. There's been an attack. We don't know how many are involved. There's been a shooting. We know that we have approximately 50 people who've been killed, but we don't know if there are other cells where it's all coming from, but the location, etc. So by 11 o'clock, I was over at UMC Trauma, where the cars and the vehicles and the people and everything was convening. And I never saw anything like that in my life. Everybody, instantaneously as they could be, had convened. The staff, the nurses, the technicians, the custodial, everybody was there at trauma, ready to do their part. And the gurneys were coming out, taking victims, or the victims were being brought in. And because it's a level 1 trauma, the only one in the state, they didn't have to wheel you to another area to get a CAT scan quickly or an X-ray. It's all right there, and that's why it's so tremendous. And they didn't lose one person that was brought in, which was incredible.
It really created an amazing community support.
You just can't even imagine what it was like on the inside and what was happening. And then people, obviously, families trying to fight. It's such an enormous undertaking. What had happened there was this desperate need and calls, I have to do something. Anybody that's living here, the calls, what can I do? How? And I had said that what you can do when I had the microphone immediately was give blood. We need blood. And it got to the point where the blood banks, we didn't have enough blood banks. We didn't have enough technicians. They were overwhelmed, and they said, please come back later, whatever. But in the interim, that early morning, 4 people got together who were just having this urge, I have to feel, I have to touch, I have to do something. And what is it? And out of that came, through people from the city as well as citizens, a gentleman by the name of Jay Plagenfuel, who had done the Secret Garden at the Mirage, had been fielding all these calls and said, the city said, well, you can have a lot of land. And within a 4-day period, an entire garden was built everything by donation, to get the healing garden built. And people, if there was not a way they could physically touch, they were bringing water, they were bringing coffee, and it was quite something.
And that's what I was going to say. You still go every year to the memorial in the healing garden. You still do the ceremony of it.
Same services. This isn't about people. This is just about those people, the families that were touched, those who lost. Just read their names. Light a candle, no speakers, nothing, just the name of each. And there's a tree built for every one we lost.
Thank you for sharing that and for doing what you did. We saw you a lot on the TV screens those months following.
Well, it was that FEMA training that made the difference. I knew what to do and not mess in somebody else's area. Do your thing in an emergency, do what you do, and do what's expected of you.
What other things do you think need to happen in downtown?
You pushed me very hard to get rid of Greyhound, and we successfully. I shouldn't say that. But to replace
them. At a better place for them.
Correct. Sorry. Thank you for
the voice.
But to redevelop that area, and when you talk about safety and security, I can speak, openly about the fact that was a challenge for us. The sheriff came on the podcast and said it was one of their highest call areas, so it's no secret that. And having them gone has helped definitely clean up Main Street and the perception of Main Street. So I can definitely appreciate the need for redeveloping that.
Well, and hopefully, Jonathan, you've been around to the other cities, not here so much. You go to Skid Row in Los Angeles, and you go to San Francisco today, you go to any of these cities, and they are just overwhelmed with the homeless problem and are unable to fix it. They're trying all these Band-Aids, but downtown, that was a big piece because many families might give a one-way ticket to Las Vegas to have whoever it is that they can't handle anymore. And especially we have such an inordinate number in our homeless community around the country who are alcohol, drug addicted, or who have other issues. And we have made really very strong steps forward, but that Greyhound, moving that down, was wonderful. And better for the traveler, too.
And you got a key for that, a key to the city, Jonathan.
Yes, he did. I promised him. I said, you do this. It will help us so much. You will get a key to the city.
And I think you did something with the homeless that I think has been working pretty well, whereby there's more space in the shelters and more awareness of the space in the shelters. Has that been helping out?
Oh, absolutely. And the beauty is we did not want to become a Skid Row. That was the biggest fear. And with other municipalities saying, you go down to the heart of Las Vegas and they'll take care of you. So a lot of the homeless, as they came into other parts of the county, were just suggested to come on downtown. So what we have done, obviously, we've had a remarkable support from our social services, very definitely good planning by the city and the city team, but Veterans Village Share, the Share concept by Arnie Stock and his group, our rescue mission, our Safe Nest. There's so many social services. Catholic Charities has been incredible. And you know, Three Square, our food bank, has grown exponentially and has provided more free food, only for the fact that our hotels are providing help, and the private sector is donating to Three Square. And we're able to feed and care for. In fact, just recently we opened up one of our centers, Doula Center, to house the homeless in this extraordinary heat, where people from heat stroke were dying, and especially those who were caught in the homeless problems, some of whom were recently homeless because they got caught in the COVID epidemic, and so many who are chronically homeless. I mean, there's so many aspects of it, but I think what we're doing, we've made a huge, what we've tried to create in our corridor of hope is a realistic look and action of how we can be compassionate and help people that need it in a very well organized, but be responsive and get these individuals into doula where there's air conditioning and with mats and food and water.
I have noticed you've been much more vocal about helping people in the heat, especially the last weeks, but you've also been very vocal about expanding the roads between here and Las Vegas, Los Angeles.
Yes, I mean, that is something that's been on I have certain things as we went down that list of safety first that I'm very boring about, but have really been pounding this forever, that to widen from Barstow to State Line. We, of course, have widened all of our roads from State Line out, and you've got 6 lanes or 8 lanes. But and nobody cares. Nobody in the world knows the name Nevada, nor do they know the name Clark County or anything. They know the name Las Vegas. One of the biggest issues is, while California may not want to promote and help the tourist business in Las Vegas, we want those Southern Californians. And so when Anthony Fox, who was the the Secretary of Transportation under President Obama, was in town, I went to a meeting and had the good fortune to sit next to him. And I said, you know, Mr. Secretary, nobody really knows about Nevada, Clark County, whatever. But we here in our state are dependent upon tourists. And so I know we can't market that to anybody out there because they don't really care. But what do you see as important? He said, well, you look at Los Angeles, Long Beach, and San Diego, and you see all those ships with all those cargo containers that are stockpiled out beyond the docks. And what needs to happen is we need to move that freight into the country. But how can that happen if the roads are blocked? So on my many trips, but in one about 3 years ago, I had gone to our head of public works and I said, I'm back in Washington with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I am going to be seeing the head of transportation. I've got meetings with this person and that. I need to make this as simple as possible. He gave me a poster. On one side shows traffic going back like after Memorial Day, where a ride that should take 3.5 hours to LA took 8 to 10 hours because of the skinny little road from State Line. And on the other side of this card is a map of the United States with lines showing Los Angeles, San Diego, and Long Beach area. And then 3 roads, one going south, one going straight across country, and one going more to the north. Right. And you couldn't be more simplistic. A child could see how important that bottleneck became. And of course, if you can sell it to the country, you get infrastructure, federal infrastructure money. I had our whole public team working with Caltrans. And so why would they care? They don't want their people coming here to Vegas, but to move their freight, you better believe it.
Yeah.
And so and that's what we're trying for.
And there's been a decline in visitation, at least prior to the pandemic, of Californians slowly declining coming to Las Vegas, according to the data. That might have changed with obviously the pandemic, but I think the roads have to be a big part of that. I mean, it's just not a
certainly
pleasant
their
experience.
part. Well, no, and if you drive to Southern California at all, they're very aware of it because the I-15 from the San Diego, Long Beach area now, those HOV lanes that are absolutely everywhere, but they stop in Barstow. And so this with the money now from the Biden administration being put into infrastructure. This is not, while we know it's important to us for tourism and everything else, we really need to get that freight moving through, and therefore we will benefit from the widened roads.
Okay, so before we let you go, because I know you got to go, quick questions. What are your thoughts on what Jay Dapper's doing with the Huntridge? He's going to be a guest on our podcast.
Oh, you'll love him. He's very creative, native born. He's one of ours, and just so enthusiastic. That building has been, that mid-century architecture that we've been preserving since Oscar's time here, trying to preserve the hotels down on East Fremont, and our Project Enchilada that's trying to preserve the architecture rather than implode everything. The fact that that building, the Huntridge Theater, had a wonderful community essence, and sat vacant, and then there were lawsuits, and that Jay Dapper not only had the desire but could see a vision for it to bring it back, will have such a resounding effect in the neighborhood for those who really have seen during Oscar's term, continuing into mine though, issues with homeless, with crime. And so once we have that Huntridge whole area revitalized, it will get more and more investment, and people who are smart enough and can invest, helping Jay Dapper in that area, looking around, picking up property and putting in restaurants, taverns, dress shops, cleaning shops, everything.
Yep.
This is the time now, the opportunity, and I am seeing it at City Hall. I cannot believe the numbers of investors and developers. They just can't get here fast enough. Take a look.
What about the A's? You going to bring us the Oakland A's?
I'm not sure that's we'll have them. My biggest thing had always been, first of all, David Stern, who Oscar worked with and tried to get NBA. And now having a relationship not then with him, but now with Adam Silver. The NBA is the thing. The A's have been here. David Cavall, who a Stanford young man, and his team, are they looking at us for us? What other sites are they looking at? It's been a long haul. I've been involved in this conversation now. This is the fourth year. Okay. When I was back at a U.S. Conference of Mayors 3 years ago and was with the commissioner, because they were already out there. They're stuck. And Oakland will be having their council meet next week on the 20th. And so we'll know everything by then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's a long time, and I think we're ready for it all. Of course, I continue on because I'm very responsive to our different groups of individuals who like different sports, and there is a huge appetite for an MLS team here still. NBA, that's poor Adam. I think he's sick of hearing from me, Adam Silver, because I do text him every so often. Don't forget us. We're here. And I think, too, that's why the Aces are here, because the MGM, as our biggest employer, thought, well, if we get the WNBA here, maybe we can prove the gate, and then they'll come. But the Summer League's here. And so this is year 14 of the NBA Summer League, which has been a huge success.
Yeah, you know about everything. It's pretty amazing.
Lots of exciting things to come. Do you have any advice for people just starting out their career?
Depends on the career. I have an opinion on everything. But truly, I mean, to me, it's wonderful. And how do you know? I think for Oscar and me, both of us, we've put one foot in front of the other and roll with it. And don't be greedy. And family comes first always. And you're lucky if you have family and somebody that you can love and that loves you back. That to me is really, you can always go there. We're all going to have tough days, and you have to have somebody there who cares and that can say it's okay and get up again. So, but for the individual in a career path, it depends. I mean, what is your passion? Do you want to go into government? What do you want to? You can do it all, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you get an education.
Thank you, Mrs.
Amazing.
Mayor. Thank you for your time.
you.
Thank you for everything you do for our city and allowing us to do what we do here. Because
Thank you.
we couldn't
We
do it
love
without you.
Oscars.
Yes, we do.
And we love
Yes.
it because it's excellent.
That's
your
true.
chef, Ben, and your whole staff, everybody. The food is outstanding. The ambiance, it mixes so nicely with an exciting place to be and who you're going to see here, but the food is superior.
Wow.
It's comfortable.
Thank you
and
for this
your
unpaid
staff.
advertisement.
So, yeah, use it.
Thank you for joining us on the corner of Main Street.
Thank you.
You can tweet Mayor Carolyn Goodman on Twitter at Mayor of Las Vegas.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Plaza Pod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.